So you've stumbled upon the Fish Pro underwater fishing camera and think, man, that's a great price, but how good is the quality? In this video, I'm going over the good and the bad that you can expect when purchasing this camera bundle. So as soon as I saw that box, I knew that it was the fish camera and monitor. Boy, was I pumped. When I opened the box, the very first thing that I noticed was this cool little carrying case the thing comes in. The fact that it has its own little spot in this case is awesome. There's sections for the camera. There's a slot for the back of the monitor where the wires wrap around. And then on that, the monitor itself sits. The monitor is connected to the backing via a magnet, which is really nice. I really enjoy the fact that I can now, instead of solely relying on my charts, take this little monitor and camera, pop a hole with minimal effort, have the option to send this camera down, take a peek around, see if it is suitable, if there's weeds, if it's straight rock, if it's just a big mud field, decide right then and there whether I'd like to fish it or not, instead of setting everything up and then fishing for 15-20 minutes just to realize that the spot I'm in is bust. Once I opened up that carrying case, I immediately noticed 7-inch monitor. Yeah, people get crazy. They'll shove a 48-inch TV in here for whatever reason, but the monitor for this is, I think, the perfect size to allow you to see clearly. It's a great size for packing as well. It's lightweight. It isn't too clunky or large. It is protected nicely by the case that I just went over. I am a huge advocate for hiking into places. I like the ability to get into spots that a lot of people aren't willing to put the time in to fish, and a lot of that requires doing some walking. The lighter the sled, the better. It immediately powered up. You could literally open this thing on the lake and start going right out of the chute. There are 2 weights that come with this camera, and the reason that these weights come with this camera is obviously to weight the camera down. The camera can be positioned in 3 different settings, one being a 90-degree angle, so it's shooting straight at your bait, one being a 45-degree angle, one being a straight-on angle, so it's looking from top down at your stuff. How you want this camera to be angled will be dependent upon a little case that you slide the camera into. That's where the weights will attach to as well. Once the camera is in the case, you will have to take the wire that connects to the monitor and place it into a pre-cut out slot, allowing it to sit the way you would like it to sit. A big thing that you have to do before getting everything set up is make sure that the camera itself is pointing the appropriate direction that you want to film. The first couple times I was super excited to use this thing. I just put the camera in its case and did not line it up appropriately so that it was actually recording as I was seeing it. I put it in, sent it down, and the camera was upside down. Now, one thing that I feel like could be changed, or a little add-on, is it would be nice if Fish Pro would just take and make a nice little white line on the camera and a nice little white line on the actual camera case. All you had to do was get those lines synced up, and then you knew that the camera was orientated properly and it wasn't twisted this way or filming this way. It was filming straight up and down. So after everything had gotten set up, it was extremely simple. You hit the Fish Pro logo in the very middle of the screen to turn the screen on. And then from there, there's a menu button that allows you to select the different options, things like how bright the screen is, contrast of the screen. There's a video playback mode, just a whole array of different options that you can kind of scroll through. There's 2 different modes that this camera allows you to do. Option A is a camera that just takes pictures. It takes JPEGs. It will just take still frames, essentially. The way you do that is you hit the mode button. You will see a little yellow handheld camera up in the corner. And when you're ready to take that picture, boom, you just hit the OK button and it will take a still frame. Option 2 or B is the video, and that's what I'm all about. You hit mode again, it will change it to a video. You will see a little red video camera up in the corner. And from there, you're ready to record. Now this thing records in 1080p, which is pretty good. And the quality I found is great, especially with a little tweaking in post-processing. If you are not here to film and you're here just to check out fish and watch your lure, this thing will definitely do the job. This is something that you have to note. I wish that I knew this going in, and I'm very glad I didn't go out and try to record some epic fishing first go around, because I lost all of my video. And the reason I lost all my video is because this camera, for whatever reason, only records in AVI mode, which I'm not sure why. It's the only camera I've ever run into that has that option, and solely that option. Everything else you can record in MOV mode or MP4 mode. It allows you to change. This does not. So my computer does not read AVI mode. Secondly, to add on to that, the micro SD card that came with this thing was tiny, and I like to film. I threw a new card in and I formatted that card to this monitor. Don't do that, at least for me. When I formatted that card, it immediately made it unrecognizable on all of my computers. I was unable to extract anything that I filmed on the first go around, and it would have been a complete waste of good video if I would have gone out and caught like a monster fish. Whatever you do, if you do swap cards, do not format them to this. Now, when I reached out to Fish Pro to talk to them about this problem, they were extremely helpful. They got back to me very quickly, and unfortunately, the only way to make it so that you are able to convert these AVI files into what I use, an MP4 or an MOV, is by a third party. I'm not super excited to have to use a third party to process my videos, especially online, but the website that I did my research on and for now find to be the safest and produces great quality in the conversion is www.transcribe.com, I believe. I will leave the link in the description below. That in itself, if I was to purchase this, is almost a deal breaker. I really don't like to have to use third-party stuff for anything, and I don't like having to take extra time to process a video that I already have. Unfortunately, the remote control tripod that came with this thing got lost in the mail. So I was using this monitor without a tripod and just putting the camera with the line in the water for probably 3 or 4 trips trying to get the thing dialed in. And let me tell you, I am not here to sell more products or convince you to purchase more stuff. If you just want the camera and the screen, by all means, go for it. But trying to get this camera to focus or settle in and point at whatever it is that you're trying to look at underwater without this tripod was a nightmare. I tried to find multiple ways to either pinch the wire under the bucket so that it would stay, twist it into something and get it caught. Inevitably, it would not face where I wanted it to face. And when it would face that way, within a minute or two, a fish would come up and smack it and then send it off into who knows where land, facing the wrong way again. I highly recommend grabbing the bundle and utilizing this tripod. The tripod came a few weeks later. I find this tripod and remote to be a game changer with this entire thing. It makes it so that this camera is extremely easy to use. When you get this thing hooked up to this tripod, the camera goes exactly where you want it to go. It's quiet, so quiet. Not that that really matters. It's nice for us to not hear some sort of weird clicking sound as the thing turns. Side note, if you guys are like me and are half thinking, man, what's that guy fishing for? Don't get too excited. I am literally jigging for salmon fry at the moment. I don't know where the big trout are. They're supposed to be in this lake. But for now, I've just got myself a whole bunch of salmon fry down there. Back to the review. So the tripod, got to be careful with this one. Can't drop it in the hole like I did my GoPro. That was a process getting it back. But the reason I got to be careful is because this tripod only opens up to 9.5 inches. Wow! What in the world? Okay. All right. Taking a break real quick from the review. This guy thinks he's in the circus. What was that move? The thing that's great about these, this is a naturally fed lake, and these are wild rainbow trout. They fight 20 times better than the stocked ones. That was nuts. That guy just launched himself right out of the hole. Free Willy style. Anyways, let's get back to this Fish Pro camera review. This tripod, the width on the thing, when all the legs are expanded, maxes out to 9.5 inches. I don't understand why. It is very common to have 6-inch auger holes, 8-inch auger holes, and what I have, a 10-inch auger. That hole, unfortunately, is too big for these tripod legs. So when I found out that the width of this thing only expands to 9.5 inches, it got me questioning, why couldn't they just go 1 more inch? Not a big deal. It's just something that you should keep in the back of your head. All I did was take one of them foam mats, cut a hole in it, plop that bad boy over the top of the hole, and we're good. If anything, maybe it's helping keeping it so that it doesn't freeze up. Also along the lines with the tripod itself takes 2 AA batteries, which is odd to me because the screen is a rechargeable screen. So I'm not sure why they decided to make it so that one is rechargeable and the other is not. If I go out on a couple-day trip, it would be nice to know that I could recharge both of these products with some sort of battery bank and not have to drag around AA batteries. Now, I can't imagine that I will burn up AA batteries on this thing unless I'm just spinning it in circles the entire time. So maybe these batteries last for quite some time. I haven't been able to test them out yet. It was just something that popped up in my head. Last thing about the tripod is the remote goes directly to the tripod. It obviously uses some sort of Bluetooth or wireless connection, hence wireless remote. I don't understand why there couldn't have been an option to have the remote connect to the monitor itself so that if you wanted to record or take a picture of what it is that's on the screen, you could do it with the remote. The remote strictly controls the tripod and only makes it turn. Now, I understand that all these things that I'm being nitpicky about would probably add to the price of this thing, making it more expensive than what it is. And this is obviously a fantastic beginner fish camera. Extremely pleased with the video quality. If I am to sit here and watch a fish come in and I want to record it, I have to obviously, boom, hit the OK button and keep going, which isn't the end of the world. All of this revolves around the ease of being able to hit buttons and make it so that it does a task. Now that I have the tripod, it's much easier to do that and keep the camera focused on what it is that it's recording versus when I had it rigged up in some crazy position, trying to keep it looking directly at something and then ultimately knocking it off of its line of sight once I hit record, and it would start recording a twig or whatever and not the fish that I was interested in. So having to hit the OK button to record is not that big of a deal. It would be cool if they could put it as an option on the remote. I just missed a giant trout. Oh, man. Not here for fishing, we're here for reviewing. Talking about large fish and me typically missing them, when I do catch them, I have noticed that it would be pretty cool if somehow there was a way that this cable that connects the camera to the monitor could retract and get zip, yanked up. That might seem a bit much, but when you get a fish on that is actually of size and does not want to get out of this water, there is a chance that that thing gets tangled up in the camera down there and you lose it, which would be very frustrating. Keep that in the back of your mind. If you are to be fishing for some toads, there is a high likelihood that at some point your line will get wrapped up in this camera and you may or may not cuss a lot. I feel like I've been throwing a lot of negatives towards this thing, which I don't feel negative towards at all. In the grand scheme of things, I am ecstatic that Fish Pro trusted in me to review this thing and have the opportunity to now utilize it. This does almost everything that you need when you're fishing. And maybe I think that way because I have never had something that was able to look under the ice for me and kind of see what was going on besides me just smashing my face into the hole. I am very pleased not only with the quality of the video that comes off of this thing, but how long the battery lasts on this camera. I can fish all day and this monitor will maybe lose a third of battery. Now granted, I'm not out in the elements. It's windy right now. I think it's 8 degrees. I don't know what it would do out there. I'm sure that the battery would get lost much quicker. But in this little tent with the heater going, this thing literally lasts all day long. It has 3 different kind of settings that you can use. One of these settings is just send the thing down into the water and it'll film as is with the light the way it is, that kind of thing. Setting number 2, there will be LED lights that pop on and shine down. That's going to be obviously for your deeper scenarios. I haven't fished this thing super deep, but when I did, it was great. They worked really good. They were able to pick up on fish. They might have even helped bring fish in with those lights. And then the third option is an infrared option, which I'm not versed enough to understand why we would need that unless you're fishing where it's like 60 feet of water. But that's where your little lights on the camera itself would come into play. So maybe that's a personal preference, but the 3 things that they do have are just normal light coming through the ice, LED lights, and infrared. Something else that I really like about this camera in monitor setup is it internally records just like that. Some of the other products that I was looking at that cost 2-3 times as much as this camera with the same video quality had to have some sort of third-party attachment or cable, something that allowed it to then record whatever the image was that was on the screen, which I don't understand. Just build it into the thing. Doesn't make any sense to me unless you're trying to make more money. This thing is much cheaper and has that option already in there. And it's on an SD card. It's not an internal recording device, which is fantastic because you can pull the thing out and swap cards, whatever. There isn't just a memory on this that will then get filled up and you're kind of screwed until you dump that and allow more space on it. So guys, to kind of wrap this up, I ultimately think this is a good buy. I think that this is a product that does produce quality video, especially if you're doing this strictly to see down there and not record. I also believe that we got ourselves a fish. I don't know why they come rocketing out of this hole like Free Willy. Holy moly, buddy. Mellow out. Mellow out. That's awesome. They keep getting bigger. Can we stop? How about we stop? Nope. We're just going to keep going. Perfect. Perfect. Oh. Okay. Easy. There we go. Trout are getting bigger. That's what I like. And I saw it come in on the camera. Thanks, buddy. Those fish are so cool. It's not bad to get interrupted in this review by fish, especially ones that continue to grow in size. Ultimately, I really like this camera. It is much cheaper than other things that you can find out there. In my mind, the pros definitely outweigh the cons, and the cons are kind of nitpicky things that would only make ease of use. I don't need a remote to record. I can bend over. I don't need this tripod to fit a 10-inch hole. Like, I can come up with something to figure out how to make it work, as long as the tripod itself isn't going in reverse of the buttons that it says it's doing, or glitching, or any of that, which never once has it done. As long as the main things are doing the main things, then it's perfect. When you get in the deeper water, it does have a tendency to reach for light, especially in the center of the screen. It can all be fixed, especially when you hit those little LEDs. Those help. In my personal opinion, when I went online to start looking for cameras to purchase, this was a top pick. For the price, with the bundle, with the screen and the tripod, I don't think you can really go wrong. Here we go. Bigger and bigger. Awesome. Awesome. Easy, dude, easy. They are slowly growing, and I know for a fact that this is small. Egat. Slow down. Compared to some of the trout in this lake. As I'm going to have to wrap it up, there is a promo code that I will leave in the description. If this video has been posted within the last 60 days, you can use that code. I think it knocks off another 10% for you, which it's something, right? Money's money. Not that this thing's helping me catch these fish. It's definitely allowing me to get eye on when they're coming in and get ready. I guess it allows me to know if I'm in a good spot, if there are fish around, all the things. It's a great item for the money. You're not going to get any National Geographic film coming off this thing, but it does the job I want it to do. Hopefully you want it to do, and it does it with a price that isn't going to kill your bank account. It's been a good day for the fishing and the reviewing. If you guys like the video, please express that with a quick thumbs up. All right, I appreciate your time. Hopefully I got you some answers that you needed. Have a great day. Pick yourself one of these up. It's worth the money. See ya.